Welcome to today's video where we'll dive into a question many people have been asking. Why are U.S. Navy ships rusting so badly? You've probably seen photos or videos where American warships look weathered and rusty, especially when compared to the clean and sleek appearances of Russian or Chinese naval vessels. But what's behind this stark difference? Is it a sign of neglect, or is there more to the story? Number 1. The real reason behind rust on U.S. Navy ships. The real reason behind rust on U.S. Navy ships is rooted in a combination of complex factors, including the operational demands placed on the fleet, the nature of maritime environments, and the materials used in ship construction. Rust, or corrosion, is an inevitable consequence of metal exposure to oxygen and moisture, particularly in saltwater conditions. Saltwater is highly corrosive due to its chloride content, which accelerates the rusting process. This becomes especially problematic for naval vessels that spend extended periods at sea, constantly bombarded by sea spray, high humidity, and varying temperatures. The longer a ship is deployed in these conditions, the greater the corrosion impact. U.S. Navy ships are subjected to intense operational tempos, often staying deployed for months at a time. This long-term exposure, combined with the high levels of stress on the ship's structure from constant movement and operations, contributes to rapid wear and tear. The U.S. Navy prioritizes operational readiness, meaning ships are often deployed in less than ideal cosmetic condition. This approach to maintenance, while ensuring the ship remains combat capable, does little to prevent or mitigate surface rust from forming during deployments. Another contributing factor is the material composition of U.S. Navy ships. Most of these vessels are made from steel, which is durable but particularly prone to corrosion in saltwater environments. While modern ship designs include some corrosion-resistant materials such as aluminum alloys, steel remains the most cost-effective and durable material for building large naval vessels. Once rust starts forming on steel, it can quickly spread, especially in the presence of salt, which acts as a catalyst. Even small chips or cracks in the paint can expose the steel underneath, leading to rapid corrosion. The sheer size of many U.S. Navy ships also makes corrosion control more challenging. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, and amphibious assault ships have vast surface areas that require constant maintenance to combat rust. Painting and corrosion control efforts are continuous, but often focus on critical structural components first, such as the hull and other areas essential for the ship's integrity. Non-critical areas, such as outer decks, may receive less attention during operational deployments, allowing visible rust to accumulate. Moreover, the Navy operates globally in a wide range of climates, from the icy waters of the Arctic to the tropical heat of the Pacific. These different environmental conditions introduce additional variables that affect the rate and severity of corrosion. For example, ships operating in warmer, more humid climates will experience accelerated rusting compared to those in cooler or drier conditions. This environmental variability adds complexity to the Navy's corrosion management efforts, requiring tailored strategies for different regions and climates. One important but often overlooked aspect is the Navy's focus on structural maintenance over aesthetic upkeep. The structural integrity of a ship is paramount for its operational effectiveness. While rust can give the impression of neglect, the Navy prioritizes keeping ships structurally sound and mission capable. Cosmetic rust may be addressed later or during routine maintenance periods, such as when ships return to dock for scheduled repairs or overhauls. In addition to these factors, budget constraints also play a role. The U.S. Navy operates one of the largest fleets in the world, and maintaining these ships to a high standard requires substantial resources. Corrosion control is a labor-intensive and expensive process, requiring specialized coatings, materials, and equipment. With a finite budget and numerous priorities, the Navy often allocates funds to more critical operational and technological upgrades, which can leave less for comprehensive corrosion prevention. In contrast to other navies, the U.S. Navy's operational commitments often take precedence over cosmetic upkeep. For instance, Russian and Chinese naval ships spend more time in port, allowing for easier cosmetic maintenance. In contrast, the U.S. Navy's forward-deployed forces must remain ready for immediate action, limiting the time available for addressing surface-level rust while at sea. This operational difference contributes significantly to why U.S. Navy ships often appear more rusted than those from other navies. Number 2, corrosion control, an endless battle. Corrosion control on U.S. Navy ships is a continuous and complex process, often referred to as an endless battle because it requires constant monitoring and maintenance to prevent the degradation of the vessel's structure. Unlike civilian ships, naval vessels face much more demanding environments, often operating in saltwater for extended periods, which accelerates the corrosion process. Saltwater is highly corrosive because of its high chloride content, which interacts with the metal surfaces of the ship, leading to the formation of rust. This rust, if left unchecked, can compromise the ship's structural integrity, impact its operational capabilities, and reduce its lifespan. Corrosion control begins during the ship's construction, where measures are taken to protect vulnerable areas. Specialized coatings and paints are applied to the ship's surfaces, particularly focusing on areas like the hull, which face the brunt of saltwater exposure. These coatings are designed to form a protective barrier between the steel and the corrosive elements in the environment. However, no coating is entirely foolproof, and the physical stress that ships endure at sea, such as impacts, friction, and temperature fluctuations, causes these protective layers to wear down over time. Once the ship is deployed, corrosion control becomes a daily task for the crew. This is not simply a matter of visual maintenance, but a critical operation to ensure the ship remains seaworthy. Sailors are assigned to specific duties focused on identifying and treating areas where rust has started to form. Rust formation can occur rapidly, especially when paint or coatings are chipped, revealing the steel underneath. When this happens, crews need to remove the rust using mechanical tools such as grinders or sandblasters, and then reapply protective primers and paints. One of the most important components of corrosion control is the use of advanced cathodic protection systems. These systems work by applying a small electrical current to the ship's metal surfaces, effectively reversing the chemical process that causes corrosion. This technique helps slow down the rusting process in areas that are underwater or where it's difficult to maintain regular physical treatments. These systems are particularly valuable for the hull and other submerged parts of the ship, where regular access is limited and corrosion can quickly become a significant issue. Corrosion control is not limited to the ship's exterior surfaces. The interior of the ship, especially areas like engine rooms, electrical compartments, and storage areas, is also at risk. In these enclosed environments, humidity levels can be high and condensation can form on metal surfaces, contributing to rust. The crew must monitor these areas closely and maintain a controlled environment using dehumidifiers and ensuring proper ventilation to reduce moisture levels. Any signs of corrosion inside the ship can be especially problematic, as they may not be immediately visible and can compromise critical systems. Regular dry dock maintenance periods are another key aspect of corrosion control. During these periods, the ship is taken out of the water for more thorough inspections and repairs. While at sea, only superficial rust treatments can be done due to time and resource constraints. In dry dock, however, more intensive repairs are made to critical areas and larger portions of the ship's structure are repainted and treated. This process is labor-intensive and costly, but necessary to maintain the ship's long-term operational effectiveness. Corrosion control is a significant drain on resources, both in terms of manpower and finances. The U.S. Navy has invested heavily in research and development to find more efficient ways of combating corrosion. New types of corrosion-resistant materials, such as advanced alloys and composites, are being integrated into newer ship designs. These materials are not only lighter than traditional steel, but are also much less prone to rust. Additionally, innovations in paint technology have led to the development of more durable, self-healing coatings that can resist damage better than conventional paints. Number 3. Operational demands versus cosmetic maintenance. U.S. Navy ships face immense operational demands that often force a shift in priorities, where mission readiness takes precedence over cosmetic maintenance. These vessels are designed for extended deployments, sometimes lasting 6 to 8 months or more, during which their primary goal is to maintain combat readiness and meet strategic objectives. The need for continuous readiness often means that non-critical tasks like cosmetic upkeep are delayed or deprioritized. The focus is on keeping essential systems such as engines, radars, and weapons fully functional and prepared for any mission rather than ensuring the ship looks pristine. The operational demands placed on these ships are unique compared to other navies. The U.S. Navy maintains a global presence with its ships regularly patrolling international waters, supporting humanitarian missions, conducting joint exercises, or providing strategic deterrence. This constant need for mobility and readiness limits the time available for cosmetic maintenance, such as repainting or rust removal. When the ship is deployed in high-risk or active military zones, aesthetic concerns are even further deprioritized as the crew's efforts are focused on mission-critical tasks and maintaining operational efficiency. While the exterior appearance may seem less than ideal, especially when rust or weathering becomes visible, this is not an indication of neglect, but rather a calculated prioritization. Rust in particular may be addressed during more extended maintenance periods when ships are in port or in dry dock. However, during active deployment, the crew's attention is centered on keeping the vessel operational, maintaining the ship's combat systems, engines, and communications infrastructure, and ensuring the safety of personnel on board. Another factor is the sheer scale and size of many U.S. Navy vessels. Maintaining the exterior of a massive aircraft carrier or destroyer requires significant time, labor, and resources, which simply aren't feasible during extended deployments. Crews do conduct routine maintenance tasks, such as spot painting areas where rust or damage is most visible, but larger cosmetic jobs are usually deferred until the ship can return to port. This is particularly true during long missions where time and materials are limited. The materials needed for extensive maintenance, such as specialized marine-grade paint and primers, may not always be available while deployed in remote regions. Moreover, the conditions in which these ships operate contribute to their weathered appearance. Sea salt, extreme weather, and constant motion take a toll on the ship's exterior. Saltwater in particular is extremely corrosive to metal surfaces. Even with advanced coatings and rust prevention measures, constant exposure to the marine environment accelerates the weathering process. Ships deployed in tropical or humid climates are especially vulnerable to accelerated rust formation, as high humidity levels increase corrosion rates. U.S. Navy ships often cover thousands of miles during a single deployment, exposing them to a wide range of environmental conditions. The frequent movement between different climatic zones means ships face everything from scorching heat to freezing cold, which adds further strain on both the exterior and interior of the vessels. These changing environmental stresses further exacerbate wear and tear on the ship's surfaces, making it more challenging to maintain a clean, rust-free appearance. Additionally, budget constraints play a role in the balance between operational readiness and cosmetic upkeep. While the Navy allocates significant resources to keeping its fleet operational, there are limitations on how much can be spent on maintaining the cosmetic appearance of ships. Funds are often prioritized for mission-critical upgrades and repairs, leaving cosmetic work to be handled as a secondary concern. This financial reality is particularly pressing when considering the Navy's large fleet, where every vessel requires constant maintenance to remain operational. Number 4. Budget constraints and resource allocation. The U.S. Navy faces significant challenges when it comes to budget constraints and resource allocation, particularly in maintaining its massive fleet of ships. With one of the largest and most advanced naval forces in the world, the Navy is constantly balancing the need to fund new technologies, modernize aging vessels, and keep its ships mission-ready while operating under finite budgetary resources. One major issue is that the Navy's budget is heavily influenced by broader defense spending priorities, which often emphasize technological advancements over routine maintenance. Large portions of the budget are allocated towards new shipbuilding programs, advanced weaponry, and cutting-edge systems such as the F-35 fighter jet program, missile defense systems, and cyber warfare capabilities. This leaves fewer resources available for the day-to-day maintenance and corrosion control of ships already in service, even though these ships remain crucial to the Navy's operational capacity. Maintenance and corrosion control are labor-intensive and costly. The Navy's ships are designed to last several decades, meaning they require continuous upkeep over their lifetime to remain operational. However, the longer a ship remains in service, the more expensive it becomes to maintain. Older ships in particular require more frequent repairs, and their outdated materials and technologies are more prone to corrosion and other wear and tear issues. As the Navy invests in new vessels, it must also contend with the rising costs of maintaining its aging fleet, creating a difficult financial balancing act. The allocation of funds within the Navy is not just a matter of deciding between new construction and maintenance. It also involves decisions about which areas of a ship should receive the most attention. For example, while keeping a ship's structural integrity and key operational systems in working order is non-negotiable, cosmetic issues like rust or surface maintenance may be delayed to save on costs. This means that while the ship remains fully capable of performing its mission, its appearance may suffer due to the prioritization of more critical maintenance tasks. Rust control, while essential for long-term durability, may not receive the same financial focus as other aspects of ship readiness. Another complicating factor is the geographic distribution of the U.S. Navy's operations. Maintaining a global fleet with ships stationed in regions ranging from the Pacific to the Mediterranean means that the Navy must allocate resources not just for maintaining ships, but also for the infrastructure needed to support them in various locations around the world. The cost of moving personnel, equipment, and materials to different theaters of operation adds additional pressure to the already tight budget. Maintenance facilities and shipyards are spread out across the globe, and coordinating between these different centers of operation requires both time and money. To mitigate some of these costs, the Navy has been exploring the use of more advanced materials and technologies that could reduce the need for constant maintenance. New ships are being built with corrosion-resistant materials such as composites and high-performance coatings that require less frequent reapplication. However, these materials come with their own costs, and transitioning the entire fleet to more advanced, less maintenance-intensive designs will take years, if not decades. Number 5. Comparisons with Russian and Chinese navies. When comparing the U.S. Navy to the Russian and Chinese navies, several key differences emerge that explain why U.S. Navy ships often appear more weathered or rusted than their Russian or Chinese counterparts. One of the most striking differences is the operational tempo and global reach of the U.S. Navy compared to Russia and China. U.S. ships are frequently deployed for long durations in various parts of the world, often spending months at sea in harsh environments, while Russian and Chinese ships tend to stay closer to their home ports and operate for shorter periods. This means that U.S. ships are exposed to more corrosive elements like saltwater, temperature extremes, and humidity, all of which accelerate rusting. The Russian Navy, by contrast, operates under a very different framework. Many of their vessels are older and in constant need of repair, leading to extended periods in dock where they can undergo maintenance, including cosmetic upkeep. Russian ships may spend less time at sea due to these repairs and budget limitations that restrict their ability to deploy globally. As a result, when Russian ships do go to sea or participate in exercises, they often look better maintained because they've spent significant time in dock being serviced and repainted. However, this doesn't necessarily mean these ships are in better operational condition. Many Russian vessels struggle with outdated systems and mechanical issues that limit their effectiveness despite their cleaner outward appearance. The Chinese Navy, or People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, has undergone significant modernization in recent years, but their ships are generally newer compared to those of the U.S. or Russia. Because the Chinese fleet is relatively young, many of their vessels have not yet experienced the long-term wear and tear that is common with older ships. In addition, China's growing focus on image and soft power means they may place a higher emphasis on the visual presentation of their fleet. While planned ships are deployed globally, their deployments tend to be shorter, and China's strategy allows for more frequent return to port for maintenance. Another important factor is that both Russia and China have the advantage of maintaining naval bases close to their operational theaters, particularly in the case of the Chinese fleet, which operates largely in the Pacific. This proximity to base allows for quicker and more frequent maintenance, which helps keep their ships looking newer. In contrast, the U.S. Navy has a far more dispersed global footprint, requiring ships to remain at sea for extended periods, often with limited opportunities for in-depth maintenance. China's Navy also benefits from advancements in shipbuilding materials and technology. Many of their newer vessels are built with more corrosion-resistant materials, such as advanced alloys and coatings designed to minimize rust. These newer materials are part of China's strategic effort to modernize its fleet and keep ships looking operationally ready for longer periods. In comparison, the U.S. Navy is still dealing with older ships built with traditional steel, which requires more frequent and intensive rust prevention efforts. Number 6. The future of corrosion control. The future of corrosion control for the U.S. Navy is evolving rapidly as new technologies and materials are being developed to address the growing issue of ship corrosion in a more efficient and cost-effective manner. Traditional methods of corrosion control, such as painting and manual rust removal, are labor-intensive and costly, but emerging technologies are beginning to offer more durable and sustainable solutions. One of the most promising areas of innovation is the development of advanced coatings that are designed to be more resistant to the harsh marine environment. These next-generation coatings are not just simple layers of paint, but complex systems incorporating nanoparticles or anti-corrosive chemicals that react to environmental conditions, providing better protection against saltwater and humidity. Some of these coatings are also designed to be self-healing, meaning that if the surface is scratched or damaged, the material can heal itself and prevent rust from forming in the exposed area. This kind of technology significantly reduces the need for constant touch-ups and repaints during deployments. In addition to coatings, corrosion-resistant materials are becoming more widely used in new ship designs. Materials such as stainless steel, alloys, composites, and titanium are naturally more resistant to the corrosive effects of saltwater. Although these materials are more expensive up front, their long-term durability can reduce the overall cost of maintaining a ship as they require less frequent maintenance and repairs. The shift toward using more of these materials is part of a broader modernization strategy in naval shipbuilding, where reducing life cycle maintenance costs is becoming a key priority. Another significant development is in cathodic protection systems, which have been used for years but are now being enhanced with new sensor technologies. Cathodic protection works by using electrical currents to prevent rust from forming on metal surfaces, especially in the hull and other submerged parts of the ship. These systems are now being integrated with real-time monitoring technology, allowing engineers to track corrosion levels remotely and adjust protection levels as needed. This proactive approach helps prevent significant corrosion damage before it occurs, saving both time and money in long-term ship maintenance. The Navy is also investing in automated maintenance technology such as drones and robotic systems to inspect and repair rusted areas. Traditionally, sailors have been responsible for manually identifying and treating rust, a time-consuming and potentially dangerous task in some areas of the ship. Drones equipped with high-resolution cameras and sensors can now be deployed to inspect hard-to-reach areas, while robotic systems can be used to apply coatings or perform basic repairs. This automation not only improves efficiency but also reduces the risk of human error or injury during the maintenance process. One of the most exciting advances in corrosion control is the exploration of biotechnological solutions. Research is underway to develop microbial systems that can protect against corrosion. Certain types of bacteria can produce biofilms that create a protective barrier over metal surfaces, preventing rust from forming. These biological solutions, while still in the experimental phase, offer a potential low-cost, environmentally friendly alternative to traditional chemical treatments. Additionally, predictive maintenance is becoming a key focus. With the help of data analytics and artificial intelligence, AI, the Navy is moving toward a predictive model of maintenance. AI systems can analyze vast amounts of data from sensors placed throughout the ship to predict when and where corrosion is likely to occur. This allows maintenance teams to address potential issues before they become serious problems, reducing downtime and extending the life of the ship. Predictive maintenance also makes it possible to allocate resources more effectively, focusing attention on the areas that need it most.